Hello, Cherries fans. Welcome to another watch along. Today, here we have Brighton and Hove Albion versus AFC Bournemouth from the Amex this afternoon on a Sunday. 2 Sundays in a row. It's a weird one. I'm not used to it. I'm not sure I like it. But Brighton fans are going to have to get used to it a lot more than we are, given that they have had their first adventure into Europe in their history, I believe. Full history. I'd imagine so. And they've lost. So it's an interesting one. Having said that, it's not like we're coming off massive form either. We'll dig a bit deeper into things, have a look at the lineup, talk a bit about how both teams are coming into this game shortly. For those of you that are joining me, please do let me know in the comments. Please say hi, welcome yourselves, get chatting. Hopefully there'll be quite a few of you again this time around. I believe we hit something like 40 concurrent views at one point, 40 to 50 in our last watch along, which was fantastic against Brentford. That one had a successful outcome, even if it was a disappointing result after being ahead for right until very close to the last minute. But yeah, we'll see how things go today. I am not overly optimistic that we are going to be getting much from this game at all. I just don't see us really matching up to what Brighton can do when they're at their best. Having said that, they clearly weren't at their flowing best against Athens. So you never know. Might find them on an off day again. Might be able to get them on the counter, might be able to win the ball from them high up the pitch, which they don't tend to be vulnerable to, but they could be on an off day, is the wonderful thing about football. Hello, David. Slightly more reasonable for you over there. Yes, thankfully it should be late evening, I'm guessing. But so what, 11, 12? Better than 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And Sean at the stadium today, which is unusual. As you usually have work commitments, or I'm guessing don't have the money. But have a good day, Sean. I hope you enjoy. Don't worry, I'm not expecting you to stick around. Please do make the most of being at the stadium. 11 p.m. So I was right first time. Cool. So yeah, slightly more reasonable. Still not the greatest bedtime. 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning for a Monday morning. But thanks for joining us, David, as always from Australia. Right, well, might as well have a look at the lineups. Thank you to Kirk for throwing this up as per usual on the Cherries Red Army Twitter account. Let me start throwing the banner up. There we go. So Bournemouth, one change. Clive coming back in. I think it was pretty apparent from Ouattara's return that he didn't look fit. He didn't look quite at it. There were 1 or 2 moments that got the real big opportunity. Probably the biggest chance of the match fell to Ouattara, and he ended up hitting it. If he kept it on the ground, it goes in. In the end, maybe a bit rusty. He hits it too high. Robert Sanchez makes a really good save, but a lot of basic stuff that he just wasn't getting right. Really simple passes, touches, something that we see from Ouattara a lot anyway, even if when he is fit. I feel like he was definitely brought into the team for his defensive work rate. That's nothing to scoff at with Kluivert, though, because I was actually quite impressed with how hard he's been working off the ball and on the ball, in fact, at times for us, particularly against Brentford. No issues at all with him coming in. And now, thankfully, we have a right footer on the left and a left footer on the right. Something that's become very, very clear, I feel, is that when you play a left footer on their side or a right footer on their side, a right footer on the right, left foot on the left, it's not working quite as well. It's not allowing the fullbacks to get forward into the positions you want them to get into, because the wingers are taking up those spaces. So we have Tavernier keeping his place, and I do think if all is correct, Tavernier is likely to stick around in the starting 11. He just provides the numbers so much more than basically any of our other attackers, apart from Solanke and Billing. And everything else is the same. Not really much of a surprise for Kelly to keep his place. I think it would be a bit of a mixed message for Kelly to produce his best performance maybe of any game in a Cherry shirt and then get dropped. So Kelly maintains his space, maintains his place. Look more at the comments. Alan, thank you for joining us. Yes, point would be a fantastic result. Victor, big greeting from Polish fan. Hello from hello to our Polish fans. Victor, thank you very much for joining. Sean, expected team really and happy. Yep, absolutely. As I mentioned, Clivert was the only one that was sort of like, would it be Clivert? Probably wouldn't be Ouattara. Could have been Semenyo maybe, but I'm pretty darn happy with Clivert coming in. Subs bench is Radu, Smith, Senesi, Rothwell, Traore, Brooks, Sinistera, Dango, and Semenyo. So pretty standard bench. Again, our Welshman mostly missing, obviously apart from Brooks. It does feel a little bit harsh on Mepham and on Mepham in particular to not be getting any places on the bench at the moment, but we've got a pretty darn strong squad now, and Mepham unfortunately is fourth choice centre back right now, which is an odd thing to say, but that's what it is for him right now. Looking at Brighton, now they unfortunately have done what Bournemouth used to do, and they don't put players in order of their positions. So let me see if I can. There we go. Bring up sofa score, and if I zoom in a bit so that it's actually intelligible. That's zoomed in too far. Too slow. I think I've done it again, but let's come down. Okay, let's do lineups. There we go. We got there in the end. So here is Brighton's. And we have Verbruggen coming back in at goalkeeper, which is an interesting one. Can't get rid of that advertisement bit. That's annoying. Never mind. So we have Verbruggen coming back in. Veltman maintaining his right back position, which is an interesting one. I do wonder what Kluivert can do against, ostensibly a centre back playing right back. Does a decent job at right back, but he is a centre back. Webster seems to be their weakest performer statistically so far, but I don't think that's a bit harsh. Whereas Lucis Dunk is one of the, if not the best passing centre back in Europe at the moment over the past 12 months. Purvis Estupinian gets his place back from Tarek Lamptey. Very pleased to see Lamptey not in the team. I kind of expected Lamptey to come in at right back, but Estupinian comes back in, which is great for my fantasy team. But I still want Bournemouth to score, so we'll see what happens with that one. Mo Dahoud and Billy Gilmore playing as probably more like the double pivot, with Dahoud, I'd imagine, pushing a bit more forward. Buonanotte gets his first start of the season. I'm really unfamiliar with his game, so I'd be interesting to see what he produces. Interestingly, the score has got Danny Welbeck at left wing. I mean, we'll see sort of what actual position he takes up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Adingra staying wide, Buonanotte maybe coming wide, and Welbeck and Ferguson playing up front together a little bit more. I honestly really don't know. I'm not entirely sure how Danny Welbeck really plays left wing. He obviously used to do it a bit for Man United now and again, but yeah, I'm not familiar enough. And that's something I will at least be trying to enjoy as well, is enjoying Brighton and their play, because it's just not a team that I end up watching very much. Obviously, I try and catch as many Bournemouth games as I can, but just generally, if it's not a Bournemouth game, it's going to be something like, well, the North London Derby, which is happening at the same time, so I won't be watching that this time around. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Now, the other thing that SofaScore can tell us here is, if I bring that back up, is recent history. Now, obviously, Bournemouth, we know 3 points, not amazing. Coming off the back of 2 draws, which means 2 positive results against Brentford and Chelsea. Whereas Brighton have gone win-win, loss, win-win, and then obviously they most recently lost against Athens. So wouldn't be surprised if they get another win back and we end up on a loss. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But I'm gonna be talking us down for a decent chunk of the start of this game, because I'm just not that positive about it. But once the game kicks off, I'll certainly be trying to spin our performance as much as possible to make us seem as good as even better than maybe we are. But I mentioned in the preview that we did for on Monday. It was on Monday. Our pressing game wasn't quite on it in the way that I think it should have been. Certainly for the first 20 to 25 minutes against Chelsea, it was not good enough. It really wasn't. And the Chelsea's DM that I've forgotten the name of, that I will look up again. The young Frenchman that was playing for them. I think it's Frenchman. They bought him this season. He was getting a lot of time and space. Ugachukwu. I'm just looking it up just to make sure that the names come to me just now. I'm fairly certain it was Ugachukwu. Yeah. He was getting far too much space in the first 20 to 25 minutes, just picking the ball up with no real issue. And Brighton are better at passing the ball around at the back than Chelsea are. So we need to be a lot more on it in terms of how we organize our pressing game. Once we got into the game a little bit more, got some passes together, we're able to actually assert some pressure further up the pitch, which we really did in sort of like the middle third, roughly the first half. Things started to turn up. Things started to get a lot better, and obviously the second half was a lot more even. But whilst we were maybe unfortunate to not score with certainly Solanke's chance that went through the legs of one of their players and was saved well by Sanchez as he went the other direction. We were also quite lucky that Chelsea didn't score as well, because they had a couple of chances that really should have been put away. And maybe I think I'm expecting some decently good things from Nicholas Jackson this year, but he wasn't brilliant in that game. So we got away with it a little bit at times. We won't really be getting away with much in this game. I really don't think so. This is a long. It's been a good few years since we scored those 5 goals at the Amex those years ago under Eddie Howe. So really put that on Sean. Hello, Rob. Would be happy with the point. I would, absolutely. Vol was saying Brighton win 3-0. Yeah, they really could. Obviously, Meps are more out of league match day squad. When Adamson's gone back, for the 2 players will be sacrificed. Yeah, absolutely. But you do want at least to hope that those players that aren't getting on the bench at the moment are going to put in the effort to try and show they're playing well enough in training to try and get themselves onto the bench to give them a chance to play. Because you can't, anyone that's not in the matchday squad right now can't just sit back and go, well, at least I'm going to get paid for a year. You don't want that. You want them to really try and push themselves in training to say to the manager, look, get me on the bench. Someone else has been having their chances and they're not doing enough with it. Put me on so that I can make something happen. Very difficult for a defender to do that. But that's what you need from a good squad. Sean, the biggest way from is how Chelsea attacked and passed straight to the midfield, and no one's ever near them, so we can't do it in this game. Want to get anything? Yeah, absolutely. There would be interesting if our defensive line pushes up to complement the press and leave space in behind, or sit deeper like against Chelsea and allow a lot of space between the 2 groups of 5. This is a really good point, David. Actually, it was something that was brought up. I remember when I was listening to the commentary of the Chelsea game that. Bournemouth pressed quite high, but the defensive line was still quite deep. It just left so much space in the middle where we had a 2v3. So there was always someone free. And it was more often than not Gallagher in those first 25 minutes. The ball if it wasn't Ugachukwu in the first 10 minutes, it was Gallagher in the next 10 minutes, and the ball just kept being lofted over the top of our entire press to a player that's in complete space. A position that I feel that we have counteracted in previous games with Senesi pushing up to that player. I wasn't imagining I would do this, but let me just see if I can bring the tactical board up. It seems as though this might be a little bit slow. Okay, maybe I won't get the chance to do that. So you can visualize it a bit better, but nope, that's being slow, which doesn't bode well for later. But yeah, no, absolutely right, David. It is the case that you really need to sort of combine your entire press into a high position if you're going to do that, or you sit the whole team back. You can't have a high press and then a mid block. It just leaves way too much space in the middle. Let me see. Have I got? Yeah, there we go. So when it comes to something like, as they were mentioning, this was roughly sort of how we kind of looked at times against Chelsea. And the issue was quite often that whichever centre back picked up the ball, you see, Christie would press. I think Silva was the left centre back, and Disasi was the right centre back. And Christie would push on to Silva, but when he had the ball, if it was like, we either would be like this, and then you've got an easy pass to Ugochukwu, or we got more like this, and it's an easy pass through to Gallagher. And what I feel as though was happening against Brentford, I think Brentford, probably in quite a few games, basically in every game that Senesi has played in, I think, you'd have Zabani would come over to the striker and mark him one-on-one, and Senesi would push up onto this free man in defensive midfield. Now, that is incredibly risky because you only need one man to lose a player, and you could easily end up with a massive disadvantage at the back. But what you at least have with Zabani is someone that is so aerially dominant in his duels. From what I can see, just one-on-one, when the ball's high, he is so strong at going up against his attacker, which has been great to see. Senesi has been a bit suspect at times. I've maybe sort of not paid as much attention to some of the larger mistakes that Senesi has made, because I don't think any of them have massively sort of gone against us. In the end, obviously, it was Kirker's mistake against Brentford. You know, other players have been making mistakes as well. But Kelly was so assured against Chelsea that you feel as though he really couldn't be dropped. But that makes the issue that if Brighton are playing, so let's say this is Welbeck, and you've got Buonanotte with Cook, and here you've got Modahood with Billy Gilmore. Billing can't progress both of these players, so you have to start like this. You have to start with Christie and Billing together here, and if the ball goes to their free centre back, ideally, I think we'll want to make it so that Webster's the one that has to really sort of focus on being the ball dominant player, because Lewis Dunk is just clearly very, very strong. You want Christie to sort of make this run in order to block the pass to Gilmore whilst also pressing the ball. But as soon as he makes this slight move, the ball goes into space and you're done. And Brighton are just so good at that. It doesn't matter if the player's being blocked, because the players know they just need to shift 5 feet to one side and the ball will come to them anyway. Their patterns are so embaked, so well drilled, that it's so hard to press them. Which is why, particularly away from home, I don't really want us to press this high up the pitch. Interesting to note as well, Mitoma didn't start. So I wonder if he is going to come off the bench. Is he on the bench? He is. So I'd imagine he'll be coming off at some point. That's frustrating. I wish I'd taken him out of my fantasy team instead. So it's, I don't know. Yeah, it's. I'm glad I'm not having to pull the drills off to make this one interesting and make it so that we do our job on this one, because they're so capable. This is arguably, outside of Man City, maybe even including Man City, I would say this is our worst matchup of the season. Maybe even including Man City. I think Brighton are that good that their patterns of play are almost even more effective than Man City's. In the end, City just suffocate games through slightly different methods, and they tend to do it higher up the pitch more quickly, I would say. But Brighton they just turn the ball around and just flip on you, and you're running backwards to your own goal, and you're in trouble within seconds when you think you're in a good position. So yeah, it'll be a very difficult one, but it should be interesting to watch regardless. David, we did this against Brentford a lot, quite multiple times. Yeah, absolutely. There was a Brentford missed 3 sitters in that game, and we certainly didn't deserve to get a draw out of that one. I see fullbacks getting on it, and those dropping into the back line when in possession. Yeah, that's in possession, Ben. I agree with you. He did do that towards the more in the second half against Chelsea. You could definitely see Lewis dropping into. He dropped into the back line a lot, and I felt as though it really improved our build-up play. But the issue was not in. The issue is not really in possession. The issue was out of possession. For me, more so anyway. We're surprised that Max didn't receive the ball often when overlapping. Did Aarons do that much overlapping? Oh, he did a fair bit, but not a huge amount. I feel he didn't. He certainly doesn't get forward as much as Kirk has. Obviously, he hasn't been. I'm just waiting for a little bit more. I think we'll see that more from Aarons as the season goes on. But I think just initially he's the one that's just entrusted with being a little bit deeper. Plus, he had to deal with one of the fastest players in the league against Chelsea and Mudryk. So, pardon me. So maybe, given he's going up against seemingly Danny Welbeck in this match, might see something different. And hello, yes, Ben, thanks for joining us. Nice to see you back again. I was waiting to see your visage in the comments. Right, so what are we? 6 minutes away from kickoff. Before I go any further, would just like to say a huge thank you to everyone that has been donating to the cause, as it were. Whether it be one-off donations or you're a regular monthly member, your support does help make sure that these streams continue to happen, and we are slowly improving. Oh, I accidentally double-clicked that. Never mind. We are slowly improving our the tech for a few of our regular contributors as well, thanks to these funds. So yeah, really do appreciate anyone that's donated to our little channel, which is still at about 1.7k subscribers at the moment. We're still working towards our way to 1.8, slowly creeping up to 2k. But with 5 minutes to go, let's get some predictions in. We've had one already in Volvo saying that it would be a 3-0 Brighton win. But what does everyone else think? What are your predictions? It's going to be a very tough game. There's no doubt about that. And I think I went for a 3-1 loss, if I remember correctly. When we did our predictions on stream on Monday. Yeah, could we get something out of this game? Absolutely. And I think anyone that's a lot of people have come on here and said, take a point. And I would too. I'd love a point. I think this would be another great point. But it's gonna be a hell of a struggle. It really is. As someone has mentioned it, let's just have a look at the other matches that are going on today, as there are 5 of them. I'll have a look at the predictions in a minute. So we've had Man City beating Forest 2-0, Crystal Palace Fulham with a lovely 0-0 draw, Luton Town Wolves, that was a ridiculous couple of decisions from the referee on that one. I don't know if you've seen the red card and the penalty on there, but my word, we've hit a new low in handball decisions. Holy moly! Everton picking up their first win of the season, which sends them above us. But thankfully, Burnley did lose, which means we're not in the bottom three yet. But the other games today, we've got Chelsea Villa, which I have gone back and forth on this one for a while, and I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Arsenal Tottenham, I think Arsenal will just about scrape this, but I expect both teams to score. So I think I've gone 2-1 on that one. Liverpool West Ham, I think I went 3-1 on that. I think I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham score first and Liverpool run away with it as they have been doing. I've gone 3-1 to Brighton on this one, and Sheffield United Newcastle. I think I went with a 2-1 to Newcastle for this one. I do think a lot of the results will be where we expect them to go. This one should be quite tight, though. Villa tends to do quite well recently against Chelsea, I believe. I just expect Chelsea to actually put one in the back of the net at some point soon. They're just, I don't know what it is with their struggles. They should not be this bad up front. Their XG looks so much better than their actual goal scored is. So let's have a look at some of your predictions. Cameron is gone with a 1-1 draw. Rob is going Heart 2-2 head 3-1 Brighton. Yeah, absolutely. David's done the same. He's gone head Brighton 3-1 Heart 1-1. So you both gone for draw. You're both hoping for draws, but expect 3-1. Let's hope we can shoot from outside the box a bit more. You can't walk them all in. And true. And it is surprising that and Andoni Iraola team has not been shooting from outside the box as much as I expected them to. Always says 4-0 to Brighton, I'm guessing. Easy, quick goals. Rod is saying 3-1 to Brighton. A lot of 3-1s. And Ben, 2-1 to us. Kirkes and Dom or Brooks. Kirkes for his first goal. Interesting. Should put some money on that. I'd imagine you get some pretty darn good odds. He didn't score many goals for Alkmaar. What did he score? I think he might have got a goal and 3 assists. His contributions weren't outstanding in the goals and assists column for Alkmaar, from what I remember. Right. So we are not far off kickoff. Now I would ask as per usual. If what you're watching is ahead of me and a goal goes in, I would ask that you wait until I see it, until you bring it up on stream, because obviously spoilers. But we do want to be talking and we do want to be discussing this game. So just wait until I see it, and then we can sort of discuss it a little bit more. I understand the enthusiasm, but let's just keep the lineups a little bit longer, scrolling along the bottom. Rod is saying Ferguson hat-trick incoming. Well, he's done one already this season, so it's going to be an interesting one to see if Zabani and Kelly can keep a hold of him. But yeah, be tough regardless. Yes, lovely reminder. Brighton have scored the second most goals in the league so far. Three goals or more in all of their league games except for West Ham. In all their victories, they've scored 3 goals or more. They're not very good omens. Not very good omens at all. But thank you to everyone joining us for this watch along. Kickoff will be happening shortly. I will let you know when that happens. Looks lovely over there. It's rubbish outside for me in Manchester at the moment. And kickoff. No, wrong banner. There we go. So Bournemouth attacking from right to left on my screen. and already Verbruggen just walking outside of his area, waiting for the movement. Yeah, pretty darn high press as per usual, leaving mostly one-on-ones, and that's a ding. Yes, so it is more of a 4-4-2 actually. It is a Dingra on the left, got Buonanotte on the right wing, and you have Welbeck and Ferguson as more of central strikers, and I imagine Welbeck sort of coming a little bit deeper. Christie trying to put in a lot of work still. You've got Billing pressing nicely. Just players just coming forward and being as irritating as they can be. But there you've got Gilmore just dropping into a pocket of space, and none of the midfielders are willing to follow him. And if you're really going to win the ball, you need to make sure that in that case Billing follows. But it's early in the game. Don't need to take too much of a risk. They can have as much possession as they want at the back, as long as you're focusing on your men further back. We are quite compact here. We're still playing relatively, that's a relatively high line considering how close Brighton were to the halfway line there. So we're trying to really squish the pitch, trying to give as little room as possible to Brighton. And we have won the ball back. Our first touches on the ball. Solanke on the right-hand side. Trying to dribble, gets it to Tavernier on the right-hand side. He's going up against Estupinian, being manhandled, but he does well to keep hold of the ball. Billings on the ball on the right. Didn't have anyone inside, which would have been nice, but Zabani brings the ball out. Poor ball. And now there's a counter, and it's no, but lost very poorly. And Kirkes is bombing on down the left-hand side, but he takes a poor touch, and he allows Webster to come in and win the ball, which he shouldn't have done that, really. But a couple of times we're at least winning the ball back in good positions, mostly from Brighton mistakes, but that's what you've got to do. You've got to take advantage of any errors that Brighton happen to make. Zabani pressing Ferguson high up there, winning the ball but giving it straight back to Brighton as they recycle possession again. More good pressing from Zabani. Nice play between Cook and Billing, who is maybe a little bit lucky to win a foul there off Adingra. But a chance to put the ball in the box. Taken quickly. Solanke's on the ball. He's barged in the back. Oh. Solanke's onside. Played over the top quite nicely. I mean, if that's outside the box, it's given every day of the week. I mean, he goes for the I don't get it at times. Like, he goes for the tackle and doesn't get the ball and goes into the back of the man. Not massively, but mind you, speaking, if you consider the kind of decisions that sort of have not gone a manager or team's way, you've only got to look at Gary O'Neill. I feel so sorry for the man.
The decisions that have gone against him, he must be cursed. There is a curse on Gary O'Neill, one way or another. Long ball up the field from Neto, trying to reach Cliver, who bundles over Webster. Is that Webster? Wellman. Needs to be cleaner there, Dom. Yeah, I would say I think he's looking for the chance to go down. Could have taken a shot, but at that angle, you're not going to get much, I don't think. Hello, Luke. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. More great work from Zabani there. I think I mentioned before, Zabani has just been really good, dominant 1v1, and it's not just aerially. He's absolutely battering Evan Fergus at the moment. We only need one good chance. Cliver pushing through nicely. No, gone down a bit too easily. There were passes available, maybe, but it would have been a tough one. Now Brighton counter-attacking. Feltman plays it behind Adingra, and Aarons makes a good tackle. And Cook goes nastily into the back of Estupinian. And it looks like Cook's come out second best. I think he's feeling his left thigh. Yeah, nice tackle from Aarons on Adingra. And then Cook's just a little bit too eager to try and win that back. Seven minutes gone. No real chances for either side so far. Brighton with a free kick from the left-hand side. Played to a completely free Welbeck, who's on the right side of the pitch. Tries to cross it, but blocked by Kirkes. Out for a corner. Yeah, Brighton. When Welbeck tried to put that ball back in, there was a massive overload at the back post there. Very definite set-piece strategy, that one. But now we have the first corner of the match with Brighton from their right. Going to be an in-swinger. Not very good. Cleared well. And now Kelly's on the ball on the right-hand side, charging forward. Tavernier is looking for the overlap. If he plays the ball quickly enough, doesn't, but does keep hold of it, plays it backwards. Aarons to Christie. Christie trying to play it long. Aarons trying to play it longer, and it goes out for a throw. Now Christie's on the ball. Oh, yeah, very close from Kelly, but in the end, it turns out to be a very good ball. Cliver on the ball too. Oh, it sort of ricochets a bit, and now Solanke's on it on the left-hand side, coming in, squaring up his man, plays it inside, but is cleared. It was just a bit behind Cliver. Ends up getting pushed back into our left-back role where Kelly picks the ball up. But that was another good move. It's looking very even at the moment. Poor from Zabani or Aarons, who played that ball long, were not on the same wavelength. Danny Welbeck has now gone down, clutching his left shin. Back up. This early press has seen the same thing happen a few times from goal kicks. Verbruggen starts walking out right into the middle. Christie, Solanke, Cook, Christie and Billing all have their men, and Verbruggen has played it straight down the middle in between everyone to get it to Ferguson. But this time they play it a bit different, and they almost work it around well. Bournemouth almost win it back, but it ends up in Bournemouth hands, back to the keeper, who hits it long from Neto. Solanke can't keep hold of it, but it does fall to Cook, and now Solanke's on the ball on the right wing. Plays it to Tavernier. Tavernier then wants to play it long to Cliver, who plays it way over his head. which is frustrating because Solanke was looking for a 1-2. There was such a really nice opportunity for a 1-2 there. And that was really rather poor from Tavernier, unfortunately. But it's been decent so far. It's been interesting, the tactical battle, the strategic battle where nothing happens and the ball is just with Verbruggen and everyone's moving out of camera that you can't see. But something must be happening just to allow the space, and they're looking for trying to build up in short, go a bit long. They've got so many ways of making happen what they need to. Speaking of, Verbruggen now hits it long over everyone, but Zabani does head it back, bounces off Ferguson, whacked up by Aarons. Solanke can't go for it because he's offside, but with a nice few touches, Brighton get it back to Verbruggen. Hello, AFC Bournemouth Germany. Nice of you to join us. Going with a 1-1. That's fair. I think there's a lot of people that have been going, I really want a point. But whether that point happens is the hard part. First time Ferguson actually won that battle with Zabani. They've kept the ball moving to the left-hand side, but it's eventually come back to Adam Webster. He plays the ball over the top to Estupinian, who cannot get there. Do you think that may have been offside, but it goes out of play regardless? Yeah, he would have been offside. Yeah, that's pretty clearly offside, I'd say. And now we're passing it around the back, but I'm not as confident we can do it as brilliantly. Billing has been fouled, just barely. And you see there's an example. Adam Webster, the right centre back, was pressing Billing there. 30 yards out from the Bournemouth goal. There's no worries there from for Brighton about getting caught out there. There's so much more. There's so much trust and ability all over the pitch. Bournemouth ended up playing it long, went to the keeper, and Brighton have it now again with Verbruggen. So yeah, you can see it's a 4-on-4 when the keeper has the ball, but the keeper is the spare man for Brighton, so they can do almost anything they want. And Bournemouth players have just got in each other's way. Is that Kluivert just clattered into Billing? Even though we had the ball, we could have won it, and the two players both went for it and clattered into each other. I thought Billing had almost got injured there. Brighton still playing it nicely. We've got Adingra, De Hood, Estupinian. Back to Lewis Dunk. To Webster, being pressed by Christie. Now Buonanotte against Kerkez. Good battle there, and Kerkez is just bundled right into the back of him. It's unnecessary, totally unnecessary. The guy was going backwards. He was going backwards. Nothing. There's no danger anymore. You've already pushed him once. You're in a good direction, and then just was too aggressive. I appreciate the effort, but that's just unnecessary. Unnecessary aggression there. But we're almost 15 minutes in, 40-35, and no chances for either team yet, I would say. Solanke got pushed down in the box, but that's basically it. There hasn't been, I don't think, a shot yet. Nice defending from Kerkez. There's a long ball there, plays it to Kluivert. Lovely ball to Cook, who gets it back to Kluivert, who bombs on, shows his pace. Now he's bombing down the left-hand side. And it's a 2-on-2 on the box if he can play this well. Cuts back onto his right foot. It's slowed down. He's looking for the right ball. Gets it. Lays it. Christie! Oh, first shot of the match in anger. Chrissy's furious that he didn't get a corner for that. Nice bit of play in the end. I think it's Tavernier that ends up receiving the ball and one touches it back to Christie, who takes a one-touch shot, swipes at it a little bit, and it just grazes the net as it flies to the left-hand side of the goal. Another nice bit of counter-attacking though. Bournemouth really sort of have shown more in the opposition box than Brighton have so far. Here's Verbruggen again, just on the edge of the D, just waiting for the exact right pass to happen. Bournemouth players don't need to care too much about him on the ball. They need to worry about everyone else. And eventually, when the chance comes, someone will push onto him. Like Christie is there. But Zabani, again, dominating him. Love it. Absolutely love it. But here we go again. It's reset once again. You've got Verbruggen in his box, walking out the pitch like there's not a care in the world. Bournemouth are man-for-man marking. So they cannot really press him. And again, ball goes to Ferguson. Zabani up his backside, trying to deal with him, doing a really good job, forcing him to not get much further than the halfway line. And then he plays it backwards. And Verbruggen is on the ball again. I wonder how long they'll stick with that plan. Passing it around the back a little bit more this time. And there's the get out. As soon as Solanke pressed Verbruggen, they were able to pass a triangle around him. Aarons looked a bit out of place there, but thankfully, Zabani does really well to get up close to Estupinian, and 50-50 call, Bournemouth end up getting the goal kick, thankfully. John, thank you for joining us again, all the way from the North Americas. You're going to forgive me, John, I can't remember if it was USA or Canada. Somewhere in North America. Let's go, you plucky cherries. Absolutely. 60 Zoo, ignore my name, but we are playing well. Yeah, I think we are. I think there's a really sensible setup that is frustrating Brighton. And I think one of the main reasons for that is Zabani has won all bar 2 of his one-on-ones with Ferguson, which has been fantastic. There's Cook dropping into the back line again, but plays that awkwardly to Tavernier, who can't keep hold. Solanke even, who can't keep hold of it. Long shot and bit tame, going well wide, but Neto claims it. Ferguson trying a shot from 35 yards. Now Neto on the ball. Big kick long. And we've managed to pick up the second ball, and Kirkes bombs on the left-hand side, waiting for the cross. Cross comes in. It goes long to Solanke, who plays back to Tavernier. That wasn't Solanke. Oh, now Billing almost in it. Billing has a chance. He's in the box. He's going. No, he doesn't shoot. He tries to cut it back, and he gets blocked. Kelly, nice interception there against Welbeck. Man on. No, Kelly. And in the end, Bournemouth don't. Yes, we do. Just about keep hold of it. Well done, Cook. Brighton player is down. That may get stopped. But Bournemouth are in no obligation to put it out. And the referee has stopped play regardless. Atlanta. Yes, it was. It is America. He absolutely did, Ben. You're right. Thankfully, Zabani has had a fantastic game so far. Really glad Justin is starting. He's a very good player, and he needs to prove it. Absolutely. I really do. Make sure to continue dressed like this. If you squint, you can pretend. Atlanta United. Yeah. Certainly one of the better teams in the MLS. I think we talked about this before, or mentioned it on one of the previous live streams. Miggy Almiron, his old club, obviously. So as Brighton player is currently down, getting treatment. If we can just have a quick look at the stats. Very even in terms of the momentum bar. It really hasn't. There's not really much that's gone on in either box for the most part. Bournemouth have had the only genuine chance of the game so far, with 2 shots, none of which on target. Ferguson's shot only says on target is because the keeper had to save it. It was going wide. But yeah, still not a lot's gone on. Obviously, more passes for Brighton, understandably, but we're putting in some good tackles. And I wonder, is there duels? No, there isn't. But that'll be an interesting one to look at later. Missed a bit of play there, but Bournemouth have got the ball back. Just about in the Brighton half. Kelly on the ball. 22 minutes gone. Yeah, Tavernier stupidly standing in an offside position when that ball is played. Oh no, it's Aarons. Either way, very silly. Should never have got caught offside there. Yeah, promo kit. Mr. Carlos, thank you very much for your praise. And yes, please do. The message is scrolling on the screen, although I'm sure it's not what most of you are watching. But please do hit a like if you're enjoying the commentary. 25 of you in at the moment, which is decent numbers. It's not the biggest game of the season, I will grant you. But then Solanke on the ball, loses it. Looked like a decent tackle from Buonanotte. I think Solanke probably should have done a bit better with that. Nice interplay there from Brighton. Ball almost ends up with Danny Welbeck, who was on the right wing there. Yeah, Welbeck seems to have quite a free role. He's sort of in the middle, then he's on the right. He's sort of moving on to the left a little bit. He feels he's definitely playing a second striker. He's almost a number 10 with a little bit of freedom, just go basically where he wants to, I think. Long throw from Kirkes. Cannot keep hold of the ball, unfortunately, but good pressing. And that's generous. Buonanotte being fouled by Christie, I believe, according to the referee. Dynamic Roblox, what do you think the score will be? I think, okay. Started the game, before the game, predicted Brighton to win 3-1. There's still a decent chance that could happen. But they haven't exactly made any chances yet. So we'll have to wait and see a bit more on that one. I'm feeling mistake there from the keeper. There needs to be a shot. It's a goal! Dominic Solanke! I think is that Christie or Tavernier? It's either Christie or Tavernier with the pressure. Causes the goalkeeper to make a mistake. That's what you have to do. You've got to settle on the keeper's mistakes, and it's a fantastic control and finish from Dominic Solanke. Christie, yes, great work from Christie. Solanke with one touch on the right, and puts it over the keeper for the second. Great goal. Come on. Yes, absolutely. Christie with the press. Yes. Get in, says VPR. Dumb. Verbruggen just takes too long. And that's a... Yeah, that's a lovely finish from Dom. On the weak foot. It's long ball there and not dealt with. And there's Solanke with another goal. That's 3 goals already in 5 games this season. He is halfway towards his tally from last season in 5 games. He's halfway towards his tally from last season in 5 games. Oh, glorious touch from Cliver. Oh, that's going on a compilation. Whoa, that was an incredible touch from Cliver. That's going on Bournemouth skills compilation by the end of the season. Whew, boy. Against certain opposition, absolutely, Ben. You certainly hope so. And this is the one thing that you kind of hope you'll be able to just grab the mistake when it happens against a team like Brighton. Come on, let's go again. Absolutely. Nilo, not a great goal to call. I mean, he's not insane. It's what he's been told to do, and he's done this a dozen times in this game already. He just took too long. And Christie has been playing the long game with him. Because you see Christie here right now, Verbruggen's on the ball, and Christie's about 5 yards away. But he's not going. He's not going. He's not going. He's not going. And then one time he goes. And Verbruggen doesn't act quickly enough because he hasn't had to react that fast. So it's a goal that never happens 10 years ago. 10 years ago, that goal doesn't exist. 10, 15 years ago, that goal doesn't exist 15 years ago. But nowadays, you're gonna get those goals now and again. Heck, we've conceded those goals back in the day under Eddie. Ooh, the free kick just played in by Brighton. 2 Bournemouth players almost flick it out for a corner, but they don't touch it in the end, thankfully. Jason Steele on the bench there, who's been dropped for this game, and he may well find himself playing again next week. Paul, great finish by Dom up the Cherries. Abso-freaking-lutely. Fantastic start. So 28 minutes so far, 28-22. And Bournemouth have gone in front away from home yet again. That is every away game we've gone in front now, hasn't it? Isn't it? First away game was against Liverpool. We went 1-0 up. Second away game was against Brentford. We ended up going 2-1 up. And now we're 1-0 up against Brighton. So, yeah, that's every away game we've actually taken the lead at some point, which is very encouraging. The frustrating thing is we have 1 point from from the other 2 instances. But, yeah, Bournemouth are a side under Iraola. Pardon me. Whoops. Bournemouth are a side that I expected to be involved in a lot of goals this season. Not just going forward, but defensively as well. Oh, great bit of work from Tavernier, getting the ball back from Estupinian. He slips past 1, he slips past 2. He's still got the ball, and he's going backwards, but he plays it eventually onto Kirkes, a little bit too far in front of him. Kirkes on the ball, plays it back to Tavernier. Goes back to Kelly. Shame. Opportunity there. That's the second time I think Tavernier's had the opportunity to slide Dom through, and he's not done it, which is frustrating. Kelly floats the ball up to Solanke, who manages to get it to Cliver. He's still got it. Cliver plays to Christie. Christie eventually gets it to Cliver on the left-hand side. He's going up against Veltman. Plays it back to Tavernier, who doesn't keep it. but ends up with Christie on the ball. Christie's flicking it around, can't keep hold of it, ends up with Kelly. Now it's with Kirkes. And Kirkes is taken out by Buonanotte. We've rattled them. We've really rattled them. And one of those you hate to concede as it looks all keeper, but you have to force mistakes a couple of... Yeah, absolutely. And it's partly due to the players up front not moving in the way that he wants them to necessarily early enough. Let's go. A goal is a goal. Who cares? Absolutely. They all count. So the penalty shot was about Dominic Solanke ends up in fourth, right at the end of the 4th minute. Dominic Solanke gets a little bit of a shove in the back from Estupinian, very close to the byline, roughly at the edge of the 6-yard box from a quick corner. It's not one I'm expecting to be given very often, but anywhere else in the pitch, it's a free kick. So it's a frustrating one. Tavernier ball in the box. Ooh, Christie was very close to that. He flung himself at that one for a diving header, but in the end, it's cleared out by Brighton for a corner, I think. Christie is onside, and he's just inches away from getting on that. Luke, so we're not pressing the Ferguson, is pressing the goalkeeper, and he keeps leaning along to Ferguson. For a long period, he was, and Zabarnyi has been doing very well at really sticking to Ferguson, and only a couple of times Ferguson again kept hold of the ball for more than one touch. Corner comes in, near post, flicked away, almost reached the Bournemouth player, but it didn't quite. Flung long back in by Aarons, I think, and Cook ends up with the ball, has gone out. Cook, don't be an idiot. You just don't get yourself a stupid yellow card. He's lucky he didn't get a yellow card for that. Any small instance of time wasting and yeah, it was a throw in, you idiot. Stop trying to get an offside. Yeah, any instance of like a player time wasting and throwing the ball away is just an excuse for the ref to give a yellow card. So don't really want to be seeing that. Oh, very nice touch there from Solanke. He's still got it just about. No, he needs to maybe give the ball there, but Buonanotte ends up getting away with giving the ball to Lewis Dunk. Yeah, it's one I'll talk about a bit at halftime, Luke, just to go a bit more into it, because it's been an interesting ploy of Bournemouth in terms of how they want to set up when Brighton's goalkeeper has the ball. Not even goal kicks necessarily, just when Brighton's keeper have the ball, it's very clear how Bournemouth are trying to set up. It's difficult. It's just that it's annoying that I can't see sort of what the other five Bournemouth and Brighton players up further up the pitch are actually doing. Christie can't make that pass to Tavernier. How has Kelly been? Great. Yeah, there was one moment when he also almost messed up in possession, but in the end he made a really good pass out of it. He hasn't really had to deal one-on-one with anyone yet. Oh, great tackle from Kluivert! And then he just gives the ball away stupidly. Oh, that was so silly. Oh, Welbeck on the right-hand side of the pitch. Now Buonanotte coming inside, wants to shoot, and it's straight down the keeper's throat. Thank God. Oh, that's so frustrating from Kluivert. The defensive work rate was great, and then he tries a first-time pass with his left foot, and he gives it straight to a Brighton player. Totally unnecessary. Rob, Brooks loves goal against Brighton. Yeah, he absolutely does. There was the AFC Bournemouth put up that thing on Twitter of the Brooks's three goals and 1 assist against Brighton. Admittedly, that was only in 2 games, so they loves a goal against Brighton. A couple of those were very good, though, to be fair. Bournemouth can't keep the ball in, goes out for a throw in our half. Can Brighton... Sharma, I'm assuming you're asking if Brighton can score. They certainly can. They might. We'll see. Still an hour to go. Could the Brighton subs not wear yellow bibs? Ref clearly thought they were the line. Yeah, basically. It's more so just make it as hard as he can. Make it as hard as he can for the keeper to play the pass he wants to the point at which he has to sort of second guess himself eventually at times. Fantastic work from Aarons there against Adingra. Christie held his man a dozen times, and then the one really good chance he had to jump on the keeper, he took it, and we scored. That's fine, Luke. You don't have to be level. You don't have to be bang on with us. I'm sure you'll catch up. Now Brighton in our third. Lovely clearance from Kelly. Solanke making himself a nuisance against Lewis Dunk, but Dunk is massive, so he can't win that one. Dunk and Webster are two giant centre-backs. Not quite Dan Burn level, but they are blimmin' big. Does it? I did say Webster, not Veltman. Didn't I? This is Webster. Oh, almost some nice little interchange from Brighton there. Doesn't quite come off from Dahoud, so he ends up playing it back to Webster. Good work from Cliver, but then he kind of pushes out of that. And then Kirkhead flies in. And Veltman has got him talked himself into the book. I love that. Cliver does pretty well to sort of get himself in the way and almost win the ball back. It ends up in a 50-50, and he really doesn't commit to it at all. And it sort of bobbles away from him. Veltman then gets back up, follows the ball, and Kirkes, full-blooded, slides in two-footed, gets the ball, no foul, no issues. But it's just the difference in commitment there to the tackle. Like, Cliver does good work, maybe isn't quite there yet fully, also doesn't really commit to the tackle going in against Veltman there. And then Kirkes just two-footed straight in there, no hesitation. Love it. Absolutely love it. More great work there from Kelly. And then Christie doing well, just about maybe keeps the ball, doesn't quite. Billing almost gets there, but no, ends up back with Webster. Yeah, the ones that have done the in the back line, the ones that have done the more obvious fantastic work is Zabani and Kelly. Kelly hasn't had to do that much, but whatever he's done it brilliantly. And Zabani has been very good at being very aggressive with Ferguson, not giving him any opportunities at all. But that's the second time that Zabani has tried to play a pass and just completely messed it up. And we were very lucky there that Gilmore just had a rush of blood to the head and whacked it straight back at the keeper. Zabani is very good at carrying the ball forward, not as effective as a passer. So what we want to see a little bit more is Kelly being the one, I think, that's a bit more responsible for getting the ball forward with a pass. Neto with the ball upfield goes straight to a Brighton player. That wasn't very good. But Kirkes is being nice and aggressive. Aarons is doing a very good job at going up against the Dingra on their left-hand side. Would not be surprised to see Mitoma come on with at least half an hour to go, because the Dingra has not really done anything on that left-hand side yet. But here we have again Verbruggen on the ball in the middle, and you see man for man, we're going right up against them. Although in that instance, it was actually funny. Ferguson actually came quite deep and was free and wasn't found. Kelly should have been following a little bit more, I feel. And now he is, which is what I want to see. Great work from Kirkes. Oh, how is that a foul? I love the maturity, Ben. And Zabani's got himself a yellow card. He lost that. I don't think he needed to do that. Some really good work there from Danny Welbeck. Jinxes his way around 2 or 3 players. and Zabani ends up sort of pulling him back, rugby tackling him because he dives in there. He's a little bit, yeah. I don't think he needs to do that. I think 40 minutes in, do you need to take that yellow card? But we'll see. A dinger on the left hand side. Oh, offside. Love to see it. John, in your opinion, who's man of the match so far? It's close. I would have said Zabani, but another poor pass and then getting that yellow, I think that takes him away from man of the match for me so far. I don't really have one so much. I think Billing and Cook have been quietly effective. Nothing they've done has been outstanding, but they've been sticking to their men and they've been pressing well. Kirkes has been great. Aarons has been great. Solanke has got the goal. Not really done all that much outside of that, but has worked very hard as per usual. Christie also doing really well. Again, just doing his job, sticking to his man, making sure that everything is being acted out correctly. And you see here, Cook and Billing with Christie and Solanke are the two highest players up on the pitch. And you end up with Kirkes in the middle of the back line. Clivert on the left-hand side here after Bournemouth put in some good possession and drip. Lovely there from Clivert. Nutmeg pass. Christie on the ball, plays it wide to Tavernier. Gets it to Aarons. Aarons looking for Christie but can't make it. Goes back to Cook. To Aarons, passes it back to Christie, to Cook. Billing, back to Cook. Yeah, some really nice play. Billing back to Zabani, who plays it to Cook. Lovely work there. Now with Billing, who tries a ball, can't make it. Christie wins it, or Tavernier wins it back. Now it's with Christie. Plays it out to Clivert. Kirkes bombing on. He's got to play it. He does. Kirkes on the ball, trying to cross it in. Crosses the ball. It's over Solanke. But Kelly's nice and high up, wins the ball back, plays it tries to play it to Billing. Tavernier must be offside. But he's not, apparently. Cook, lovely backheel pass, plays it to Christie. And now Clivert's on the ball. Tries to cross it in, and it goes long. Tavernier's down. The referee stopped play. Clivert, is that Clivert or Aarons? Someone's ended down. Oh, Tavernier, sorry. Tavernier or Aarons. It's Tavernier. Tavernier ended up going down like he'd been shot. I think he gets a bit of a brush from Adingra. Ooh, that's a clock straight right in the jaw. The ref stopped play for a head injury, but then didn't give a foul, i.e. penalty. That's an interesting one. Funny that funny that wasn't really looked at, apparently, by VAR. Well, it probably would have been. It would have been looked at, but there was no proper. There was no significant length of delay in the check. Sorry, I missed a few of the comments. 60. I mean, Terman and Fatty will come on. Oh, undoubtedly they'll both come on. Definitely. The thing I'm most frustrated about was the fact that Mitoma didn't start because I've got him on my fantasy team. Long ball, unsuccessful. Kelly's on it. Passes it back to Neto, who surely is going to play this long, which he does. I'll ignore Ben and Luke's messages. Clive, a couple of decent moments, but a little bit wasteful. Yeah, once he gets far enough, it's not quite coming off. I do like the fact that he takes the ball and runs at his man, though. He's beaten a fair few defenders in terms of dribble past them. The problem is that he comes up against the second or third guy, and then is he always producing the right moment after that? I don't know. When he's still got a back four to then go up against, you've got to blend play the pass and try and work it around them. More great work from was that Tavernier? Tavernier doing a great defensive job. He's ending up at right back there. trying to support us. Now Clive on the ball again. Ends up with Christie, who loses it to Buonanotte, and now it's a 3-on-4. Buonanotte on the ball, going onto his left foot, plays it to Ferguson, back to Gilmour. Now it's a Stupinian who shoots, and it's deflected high and wide by Zabarnyi. With 3 minutes added on, and we are at 45-30, 2.5 minutes before the halftime whistle, and Brighton have another corner. Yeah, great work there from Zabarnyi. There's a man of the match shot. No stand up for me, but Cookland more consistent involved for me. Yep, absolutely. Billing all over the pitch. Yep, doing another good job. And the ball comes in high. Keeper is completely crowded out. Now Webster's on the ball. He's got about 5 players to get it through. He doesn't do it. Dahoud shoots. It's blocked. Headed back into the box. Billy Gilmour on the ball on the left-hand side. Stupinian now back to Gilmour, who plays the ball into the box. Good cross in, and it's own goal. Well, Ben, you got your wish. Kirk has scored. Just see it coming. Brian really haven't produced anything, and just a set piece gets recycled. The pressure isn't applied, and it's just an unnecessary. It's just Kirkers tries to get out of it, and it's just. Oh, right. Now Bournemouth are pushing forward, and Gilmour's got to get a yellow card for kicking out at Christie there, his fellow countryman. I mean, you might decline. You've got to score again first, but, we'll see. Yeah, very frustrating. Don't think Brighton deserve that at all, for the most part. They just haven't really done anything near our box. And then one set piece that they make it very awkward for us. We defend it well initially, but then once it goes out there, there's no Brighton player that's getting that goal. It's not going anywhere near close enough to a Brighton player to deal with it. And the keeper, as much as Kirk is unfortunate as well, I think the keeper needs to not. The keeper probably shouldn't have come out for that, or he needs to shout better. Billing taking a shot. Ooh, just wide. No, Kirkus touches it, man. Kirkus takes it over the keeper. But Neto also, you can see the position that Neto's in. He doesn't need to be there. So that's halftime. Very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. Well, them's the breaks. Unfortunately, that's kind of what you might get now and again with Kirkers. And like I said, I do think the keeper either, Neto, needs to either give a really big shout that it's the keeper's, or he doesn't come out like that. Because if he stays in his goal, I think he can save that. Because the ball doesn't fly into the side, into a corner. The ball's going relatively central. When it goes in, it hits relatively central. And I think Neto would have saved it if he'd stayed in his box, if he'd stayed in his goal line. Are you talking about away games, 60? Because obviously our most recent game, we did get a clean sheet. I'm assuming you mean in all away games rather than just in all games. I'll be able to check on that. In terms of when our last away clean sheet was. Southampton away, 27th of April. That was our last away clean sheet. Southampton away. The Wolves one was 2 months before that, and we got one against Leicester earlier in April. In terms of clean sheets. Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm just going to take a short break. We'll have a look at a few of the stats, talk a little bit about how we got the goal or how the goals happened. And yeah, be back shortly. Yeah, back shortly. And we're back. Am I on? I hope I'm on. Yes. So, right. Okay. So it's 1-1. Frustrating that that so much good work from that first half has not taken us into half time. But you know, I think there's a lot of good work that happened there in that half, and I think we quite rightly, you know, we quite rightly took the lead in that game, and I think that it was certainly, whether you want to call it against the play, certainly Brighton hadn't done a lot to deserve that. I don't feel, but unfortunately, have to deal with that, and they have to go again for another 45 minutes. Let's just look at some comments. Hello, Neil, thanks for joining. Hi all, what officially is on this? Absolutely. Sean, to me, the team has played to almost perfection, except Neto has been awful. Distribution rarely goes for us except when short passing and not long enough. Yes. Yes, absolutely. We go again in 15 minutes, no reason we can't score more. If we can concede a last minute equaliser right with 45. True. Neto's got to come and take everything there. Yeah, well, he's got to communicate better on that one as well. But yeah. Yeah, well, it certainly has been so far this season. Sean, that goal was only just offside. Yeah, that's looking better. Yeah, that's the marathon game. Yeah, so I want to. Let's see if I can. There you are. Right. So let me see if I can just show what's been quite interesting for me. So this way around. We've got this. Right. So what Bournemouth are doing tactically in terms of when Brighton have the ball, and this is how we got our goal, obviously, is we're just doing a good old fashioned man for man job. It's man to man marking all over the pitch, bar none. Everyone has got their one man, and they are not leaving them, which is so fun. So much so that at one point, and what we'll see here is actually that the Brighton fullbacks are way up here, way up the pitch. And interestingly, the Brighton wingers, you'll notice that a couple of times, Kirk has ended up here because Buonanotte has just flown into the middle of the pitch. He's been almost the furthest player up, and Kirkers has been the one that's tracked him because you follow your man no matter where he goes. It's really quite simple for the most part, that just like, this is your man, I'm telling you he's your man. So you stick with him, you run against him, you fight against him, and you win. And that is impressively what Zabarnyi has been doing against Ferguson consistently. Now, a couple of times Ferguson did get the better of him, but out of, say, 8, Zabarnyi's won 6. It's really, really good. Kelly, let's put this around because Kelly actually is the number 5. Kelly has been following Welbeck. And then what you have here is Verbruggen on the ball, and he's walking as far up as here. And what you have is the centre back pulled out wide. And what generally is happening is Solanke is very, very close to Lewis Dunk, because ideally, at worst, you don't want Lewis Dunk to be the one that receives the ball, because he's probably the most technically able out of the 2 centre backs. and his passing numbers are off the charts. So what you have is Christie takes a position in between Webster and Neto. And then you have Cook is getting very close to Gilmore or Dahoud, whichever one it is, and Billing is getting close to the other one. So you've got Billing and Cook incredibly right next to Dahoud and Gilmore. And Christie here is sort of like trying to just make sure that Webster doesn't get the ball. Just make sure that Webster doesn't get it first. He hovers around here, he hovers, and then just gradually he just creeps up more and more, just creeps up on Verbruggen. And then he's like, every single fresh attempt, whether it be a goal kick or he just receives the ball back, he's just creeping forward, and then he's backing off, and then he's creeping forward, and then he's backing off, and then he's creeping forward, and eventually he just jumps. At one point, Verbruggen just doesn't have quite the option he wants further up the pitch because the defenders are doing a great job at marking their man bang on. Kirkes following his man everywhere. Aaron's following his man everywhere. Tavernier coming all the way back here. Cliver following Veltman everywhere. And eventually, Verbruggen makes a mistake. Christie jumps, falls to Solanke, takes a touch with his right foot and fires it into the goal with his left. So it's which gives Christie his first assist of the season, which is great to see as well. He can quite rightly get something in his goal contributions columns for the work that he's been doing for us. But yeah, and I'll tell you why I feel as though Brighton's decision to seemingly switch to a 4-4-2 definitely helps Bournemouth in that regard, because it means that there is a very clear man-for-man marking system. What I mentioned at the start of the game before we went on is the fact that Kelly, unlike Senesi, has typically not followed the free central midfielder wherever that has been. So when you get situations like this, with a 4-2-3-1 going up against a 4-3-3, and it can be relatively man for man all over the pitch up until you get to this box. And in this instance, you've got Welbeck is playing quite high, whereas if he came deep more often and made it awkward for Kelly to follow him because he doesn't really want to, but he knows that he has to. If you play, say, I don't know, Lallana here instead, Lallana is much more intelligent at finding those pockets and moving into spaces that make it awkward for even a midfield to follow him, let alone a centre back. And suddenly you end up with that overload. Because Welbeck is playing higher up and is not as adept at doing what you have Enciso do, McAllister do when he was at Brighton, Lallana if he was brought on. I do feel it's making it easier for Bournemouth. And I really do I could see Welbeck or Ferguson taken off for another midfield, for more of an attacking midfielder in the second half, quite early on, I reckon. It'd be an interesting one. Speaking of which, Ansu Fati's coming on. I'll tell you what, if it's Welbeck that's come off, I was just like, I'd be like, oh, Mitoma's on as well. Mitoma and Fati. Who was it that I'm guessing he's a Brighton fan? Is it? Someone mentioned that Mitoma and Fati would be coming on at some point, which I think was fairly obvious, but it makes sense. Someone mentioned it earlier. Second half has just started. Whoops! I haven't updated that. I haven't updated that. Ryan instantly on the attack with Mitoma bombing forward. With Fati on the left. Oh, that's lovely play, and it's a goal. In 20 seconds, Mitoma has scored. That changes everything. I've changed the wrong one. Oh dear, that was quick. I didn't realise Bournemouth started the game with the ball. That's poor from Bournemouth in the first place. We lose the ball from our own kickoff and concede within 20 seconds. Lovely flick, great work from Dahoud as well, but Oh, that's poor. Ah, oh dear. Well, yeah, that's not good. That's the thing that's really poor about that is just that that was our kickoff. That was our kickoff that we conceded within 20 seconds from, and the ball never made its way into the Brighton half. Very disappointing. Um, yeah, whatever, whatever conversations happened at half time in the changing room, all out the window. Everything Iraola would have spoken about in at half time, out the window with that. Because you can play a containing game as the away side going up against Brighton as they dominate possession like they do. You can play a containing game for most of that half and then try and get something at some point, like we did for our goal. But if you're a goal down now, oh, Perkins is all over the place. Uh, oh boy. Um, it's only just sat down. Yeah, not good. Well, it was level. It was level at the first kickoff. It's level at the second kickoff. Um, for us to lose that quickly, ridiculous goal concede. Yeah, he just came on. I don't have Solanke. I did bring in Carlton Morris though, so I was very pleased with that one. I do have Mitoma, so I do have that to fall back on in my when I look at my FPL team in the morning. Um, Mitoma is fine. Yeah, Mitoma's great. Um, yeah, yeah, it certainly was when we did it against Fulham, without a doubt. That was from a second half kickoff as well. Billing ends up giving it away. Um, but then it falls to Kelly, and Kelly's header doesn't go to a Bournemouth player, it goes to a Brighton player, and then we struggle. There were 2 errors that led to it. But then once they get the ball, you've got nothing as a centre. As looking at the defenders trying to deal with um, that play, there's not much you can do as a set of defenders. I'd need to see it again, but that was ridiculous. Lovely work here from Tavernier, who's just in the Brighton box. Billy now on the ball, turns nicely, getting into the box. Now with Aarons, gets one around one man, plays it back to Billing, who plays the ball into the box. Oh, what a chance! How did no one get on the end of that? Oh, what a ball in! Oh, oh, Christie was close to it. Solanke should have got his studs on this. This is a wonderful ball from Billing, and if one of them, uh, well, I mean, there needs to be one more goal away. Um, right, Cook doing well there under pressure. Kirkes passing the ball straight out of play. Oh, Kirkes. This is the worry maybe about having a younger player because I don't know whether like mentally he's just like he's made a mistake for the goal just before half time. Nothing you can do about Mitoma's goal. Um, messes up an easy control at the start of the second half. Messes up an easy pass there. You worry a bit. Oh, Zabani gets away with that one. Lovely pass from Cook there, straight through the middle of two players to Christie. Christie plays a 1-2 with Solanke, then plays it over to Cliver. Now Kirkes is bombing on. Cliver still has the ball, tries to play it to Christie, but hits it straight at a Brighton player. Trying to get it through three players, asking a bit too much of himself there. There's an element that you can always try and pick holes in sort of how defense deals with it, because if a defense can be theoretically perfect, then they'll never concede. But unfortunately, like, particularly when the play is that quick and incisive, the lovely little touch from Dahoud, their number 8, Mo Dahoud, just means that the defender isn't able to quite anticipate in the same way because the ball changes direction. The issue wasn't the two passes directly up to the goal. The issue was that was our kickoff. Billings' clearance, his whack up the pitch gets blocked. Kelly's header falls to a Brighton player with two chances to stop that situation from happening at all. Once it gets there, I mean, I'm not going to try and worry too much about how good the defense was in that one in my first look, because I just think that the interplay was like, if Barcelona, if Messi scores that goal for Barcelona, that one's on repeat every year in compilations, because that little bit of intricacy was glorious. And I hate that phrase, but unfortunately, it's true. The name makes a difference, even though it shouldn't. That was a really nice goal, but it should never have got to that position. It should never have got to that position at all. Well, we've got to try and go again. This is another. It's just frustrating again. That's 3 times that we have gone ahead in our away games this season, and 3 times we have conceded. We have lost that lead, and for the second time, we have now gone behind after taking that lead, as we did against Liverpool. So yeah, well, the 1-1 that a lot of people were hoping for is not happening. 2-2 could still happen, and the 3-1 I called is very much still on the cards. So we'll have to wait and see. I feel Brighton can really try and control this game with and without the ball now, if they want to. Tavernier gets a little bit lucky there, gets past the second player. It's almost forced to Solanke, but it's cleared well by Webster. Yeah, sensible. Solanke with the ball in their box, tries to pass to Billing, but Billing has moved on for a different pass and doesn't get it. Bingra does well to win the ball, win a free kick off Kirkes, who again seems to get his feet in a bit of a muddle. Bournemouth another attempted press, but Solanke is the one that caught in the wrong position there. Solanke almost making that work, but not quite. Ends up back with Webster. I do think we need to take a few more shots. I think I can't remember who mentioned it at the start, early on in this watch along, in the comments. Oh, Tavernier completely misses the ball there. The someone mentioned it at the start of the watch along that Bournemouth need to take more shots, which I do agree with, particularly right now that the shots numbers are 8 to Brighton, 4 to us, and outside of the goal, I can remember a Christie shot from that flies wide after being set up by Tavernier. I can remember the Billing shot just before the half-time whistle from a free kick that again sailed a bit wide to the left. I can't remember the fourth one. But yeah, it's not been too many shots at all, which has been frustrating. Getting into some decent positions, but generally just not quite finding the room to really go for it in a sensible position. So far this half, the only thing that Bournemouth have the only time Bournemouth looked like they might score was the Billing cross that just missed the far post and just missed Christie's head and Solanke's toe. But apart from that, nothing yet. Oh, that's very good. Just a moment there when Aaron's just lost his feet and the ball almost fell to Mitoma. He does well to slide in and force a corner. Thought it might have been a goal kick actually, but no, it's corner to Brighton from the left-hand side. In swinger. Lewis Dunk can't quite header it on target. They do seem to be at corners. They do seem to just make sure that Neto just cannot come for anything. He is being surrounded every time. Although he was pushed out of position there by Veltman. And anything on target there goes in because Neto's in no man's land. I think Neto's position is being exploited in that regards when the Brighton player is just sort of pushing up against him just to make sure that he can't really move in where he wants to if the ball goes to the back post. So we need to, I think Neto needs to find different positions to stand. He keeps messing that up at corners. Brighton on the attack again. Lovely ball in. Oh, that should have been a goal. I don't know why Kelly kept that in. That should have gone out for a goal kick. But Brighton are back on the ball again on the right-hand side. Brighton have just turned it on in the second half completely. And I did mention, I felt as though either Ferguson or Welbeck would be brought off to bring another attacking midfielder on, just to change things up because it's not been working for them at all. Didn't realise it was Ferguson that had come off. And it's just making things so much more awkward for the midfield and back line to just deal with the running in between. Ansu Fati really should have scored there. 60 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Long ball up from Kelly to no one, but Christie does get the loose ball. Kirkins pushes forward, trying to get past his man, but he goes down far too easily. Good work from Tavernier to win the ball back from Stupinian. Plays the 1-2, but unfortunately, straight to Lewis Dunk, who covers well. It wasn't really necessary to try that 1-2, I feel, in that situation, but Ooh. Still playing a good pressing game. Still trying to be aggressive with it. A little bit lucky there from Sabani. Christie doing some good work, being on the ball. Billing running past Gilmore, and getting into a good position. Either a corner or a free kick. And he's given a corner. Good work from Billing. Gilmore just about gets past it. Just about gets the ball there. Gives Bournemouth a chance to put the ball in the box again. Certainly committing plenty of bodies forward. It's nice to see 5 in the box there with Tavernier and Christie on the edge. Ball's about to come in from Cook. To Zabani. Just off target. He was completely free. Just a little bit high and left, I think. Yeah, just high, I think, maybe in the end. Another replay. Yeah, too high. Quite a bit too high. Brighton making up the change. As do Bournemouth. Bournemouth have got 2 men coming on with Dango Ouattara and Antoine Semenyo. Tavernier coming off, and I'd imagine Cliver as well. Tavernier came off for Dango, and for Brighton, it's Danny Welbeck coming off for João Pedro. Dango Ouattara Dango's just stood on the side, seemingly waiting for the guy who's going to come off to allow him to go on. And Tavernier came off pretty quickly, and Dango should have gone on then. But regardless, it looks like Dango's playing on the right-hand side, and Semenyo's playing on the left. Yes. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is like that is going to be the natural change on roughly the hour mark in basically every single Bournemouth match. The wingers are required to do a hell of a lot of work, so you will expect them to be changed frequently. And the nice thing is you have Semenyo, who can play as a striker, can play as a winger, and then Ouattara. Just gotta hope that he does something magic. But this is what I want Dango to have the first couple of games and have an impact coming off the bench, because I think starting isn't quite. He's not up to the challenge to start a game at the moment. One ball by Bruggen. Mitoma trying to get the ball back from Aarons, who does well, but gives the ball away. But Dango works hard, gets the ball back, and Aarons gets a little bit lucky to be given a free kick there. A little bit lucky. Yeah, a little bit generous there for Aarons. Maybe a bit lucky he wasn't given a foul against him. Christie, lovely ball through to Kirkers, who chops back. Kirkers is then taken out after he plays the ball to Solanke, but now it's with Semenyo on the left-hand side, looking to take it past his man, but forgets the ball. Now ends up with getting tackled and going to Kirkers. Kelly to Cook. To Zabani, who does really well to beat one player, but then loses it to the second. The first time he's done that. Zabani carries well, but he's clearly not up to it with the pass when passing. Just so much more movement, so much more energetic than Brighton since the half-time changes. Finger on the right side, goes into the box up against Kirkhead, plays it in, Kelly clears it. Really could be. It could be a couple more at the rate things are going. Bournemouth just have not been able to gain any foothold in this match, in this half whatsoever. Sorry, I haven't been talking that much. It's just been so much Brighton control in this second half so far. I have liked Cook so far. Been very comfortable on the ball. It's been good to see, and has really good defensive work rate. Good block by Kelly for that shot. Oh, Christie tries to play the ball out to Dango, and it's just far too close to. Oh, lovely tackle! He wins the ball back from the Estupinian. Takes it inside. That's it. Goes to Dango, who's on the right hand side, going up against Dunk, and he plays the ball behind. No. Yeah, that's a nice idea from Dango, but unfortunately, the Bournemouth players just aren't getting forward enough. Christie and Semenyo should be sprinting to get into the box there. Neither of them do. And the ball ends up going to none of them. Semenyo tries to track down Veltman, but ends up just runs into the back of them. Maybe a pretty simple foul. Paul on ball there from Brighton. It's by Dango, who hits it to Christie. A lot of touches of the ball, Christie, which is good to see. Oh, that was Cook, sorry. Long ball from Neto. Tries to reach Dango, but it goes to Stupinian. It was mentioned at half time. I can't remember who. I think it was Sean mentioned at half time. Neto's distribution has been terrible today. And then he wasn't aggressive enough or sensible enough for Brighton's goal. Oh, wonderful work from Cook there to make up for Kirkez's not being able to keep up with his man. Adingra is just another one of those players that Brighton just seems to pick out of nowhere and just comes straight in and does fantastically. 69 minutes on the clock. Nice. Still 2-1 to Brighton. Nice work there from Kelly to beat João Pedro in that one. Semenyo running past his man. Well done. He keeps going. Semenyo in the box, takes the shot, and it's saved. Well, first shot on target for Bournemouth in the second half. Great work from Kirkez. Wins the ball, keeps it in play, puts in the cross, deflected out for a throw. I don't know why the Brighton players are so annoyed at that one. It was definitely still in. That's what I want to see more from Kirkez. That energy, that aggressiveness. Barney pushing forward, plays it nicely to Semenyo on the edge, pulls backwards when up against Webster. Kirkez left hand side, plays it to Billing, all over the top, cut out by Webster. Ball goes out for a throw in. Nice to see Semenyo really pushing into the box like that and taking a shot. That looks like a goal kick. Or is it? No, I'm guessing it's a corner. Couldn't really tell from that angle, but Semenyo does really well against Webster there and managed to win us a corner. Brighton are set to make another substitution, which would be their fourth of the match in their second of three allotted substitution windows. Ball coming in from the left-hand side from Cook. Played just a bit short. Dango tries to get his head on it, doesn't quite work out. Falls to Semenyo, who tries to take it past three players but manages to get a 1-2. and I don't know why he takes a shot there. He ends up with the ball in a decent position at the edge of the box, but the ball spinning a bit awkwardly, completely messes up the shot, and it just bounces nicely to the Bruggen. Long ball from Dunk trying to find Mitoma, and Aarons does really well to sort of deal with that and pass it to Neto, who plays it long, but straight to Estupinian. Tries to play 1-2. Now Mitoma's on the ball, but he messes up the control, thankfully. Now Dango's coming out with it, who beats one man, plays a pass, nice, ends up with Billing, who plays it to Kirkes. Push up. Oh, come on, man, go forward quicker. Don't know why Semenyo was so deep there. Billing's still on the ball. Ball played in, easy to read and easily intercepted, and back to Brighton. But Cook gets in the way as well there. Dango is tackled from behind by Estupinian, but it worked out fine. Lovely tackle there from Billing. And now the change is happening. Moda Who will be coming off. This is the new guy. This is Baleba, the Brighton's Caicedo replacement with Baleba. Dear. 73 minutes. Bournemouth only need one goal to take something from this game. If Bournemouth get a draw, that will be a very successful Sunday afternoon for Bournemouth. Feel as though we're just not willing to go all out for it yet. At some point in the next sort of 10 minutes, obviously Kiefer Moore's not on the bench. So you can't bring him to make a plan B. But at some point soon, Bournemouth are going to have to go a little bit all out to try and get a second goal here. Losing 3 or 4-1 is not the end of the world if you're going all out to try and get a 2-2. Oh, that seems a bit odd. It's like he does really well here and make sure and gets a free kick off Lewis Dunn. Definite foul, no issue there. Duncan picks the ball up and throws it to the teammate that's right next to him. And Gilmore just leaves it. So the ball keeps going. And the ref gives him a yellow for throwing the ball away because they're very sensitive to that at the moment. Feels a bit odd. Free kick coming in from Lewis Cook. Doesn't really find the back post, headed away quite comfortably by a Brighton player. And now they could, or all have the chance to produce a counter, but thankfully it's well blocked. Christie on the ball on the right-hand side. Plays it to Billing, who keeps the ball well under pressure. Now needs to put the ball in the box or pass it. Goes back to Kirkes. Kelly kind of misses the ball, but then takes a touch with it. Goes to Zabarnyi. First time from Christie to Cook on the right-hand side. Still Christie. Plays it back to Zabarnyi. Keeping the ball well there. Just the field want to just pull Brighton out a little bit, waiting for a ball over the top, which just happened, but it wasn't close enough to Solanke. Does come back to Semenyo, thankfully, but he loses out. He needs to do much better there, Sinetti. Baleba pushing forward up against Kelly. Great tackle by Milos Kirkes. Great tackle by Baleba. That was a great battle. Brighton still have the ball on the left-hand side. Semenyo pushes forward, crosses the ball in, and it's Mitoma, and it's a goal. Yeah. That's game over. Oh dear. Well, I mean, it's been coming. It's been coming. Kelly, or rather, Kirkes does really well. So this initially comes from Semenyo not really doing well enough to keep hold of the ball. Paleba pushes forward. Kirkes does really well to get at him and win the ball back, but then loses it very quickly afterwards. I don't blame him. He's not expecting the player to get up and actually tackle him, which he does. Comes out to a Stupinian who's not been. Aarons isn't close enough. And then once the ball comes in, it's just a fantastic cross and header. Like Nitoma is not Aaron. Nitoma is not. Nitoma isn't Zabani's man. He's not Kelly's man. But once he finds himself in the middle of the pitch, one of the centre backs needs to spot him and track him. But he just kind of ghosts in and picks the perfect spot and heads it in the back of the net. Yeah, absolutely. What is about 3-1s away from home? Semenyo on the ball into the box, takes a shot, great save. Solanke takes a shot, and it's cleared off the line. Christie tackled by Fatty. He's down, injured, but nothing's been given. Now Adingra's count on the counter. Kelly's getting close to him well. Christie's still down. Oh. Another great shot from Semenyo. Good. Yeah, it's definitely not over the line. Solanke can't quite get it over, and Lewis Dunk is there to whack it clear. Yeah, pretty simple, effective defensive work from Dunk there to clear that ball over the line, clear that ball from off the line. Ten minutes to go. 79 minutes and 20 seconds. It's difficult to see us coming back into this one, really. Christie's been kept off the pitch still for some reason. I don't know why. Dango with some good work, defensive work there. Dango keeping hold of the ball a little bit too long there, but manages to make sure that he gets back to the goalkeeper eventually. Kelly has to whack it up the pitch. Bit unnecessary from Dango there. He could have played that to a number of players at any moment, but he just kept hold of it. He does seem to run about like a bit of a headless chicken at times, Dango. It's not much really for me to talk about at the moment. I did see comment I didn't bring up, I don't think, from Donald there. It's a bit slow. Particularly when Bournemouth have been on the ball, it has looked a bit slow at times around the back. We have gotten it forward well at times, but Brighton can just control the game as much as they want. I said it at 2-1, and they can certainly do it at 3-1. Traore coming on, and Brooks. Oh, that was nice there. Traore giving a hug to De Zerbi because they were both together at Sassuolo. So that's Billing off, and I didn't catch the other one. I would guess Christie. Yeah, I was not paying attention to the other substitution was. I'm guessing Christie? Was Christie the other one? Not updated on SofaScore yet. Yes, Christie. Christie off of Traore, Billing off of Brooks. And it looks like we're going to have to make another on our fifth substitution very, very quickly because Kelly is still down. Yeah, that's frustrating. I wonder, does that count? Actually, it doesn't matter if it counts in the same window. This is our fifth sub. Such a tough start to the season that would keep the players positive. Yeah, I mean, I think the first half was brilliant. I think obviously we considered the goal, which is very frustrating right at the end. But for the most part, we came to Brighton and made them look very average. And as much as we scored a goal entirely from their mistake, we've created a couple of decent opportunities this match. So we'll have to see what happens as we go on. Oh, this is nice. Semenyo over cross goes Traore. Brooksy. Oh my word! Cleared by a Estupinian. How on earth did he block that? And how did we not score? Great work from Brooksy. Nicely done by Semenyo. Ends up falling to him and he shoots. Yeah, just a great block. I think Brooks is trying to go back across the keeper when he shouldn't. I think he needs to just try and find the corner. But to be fair, you've got Veltman stood on the post as well. But yeah, just great, just fantastic work there defensively. So I'm missing some comments. Hello, Philip. Nice of you to join us. That's weird. I've actually been fine. Hello. Yeah, we've got some Messi's come on. Oh, let's not bring that up onto the stream. Well, I mean, you can argue that, Donald. I do think that. Oh, Kirkes is pushing forward on the left-hand side. He's appealing for a handball against Webster, who does look a little guilty. But it's been a corner. It's a corner that's been given. Great run from Kirkes here. No, it doesn't. Comes off his chest. No, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Clearly a corner. No penalty. And I do find it frustrating that players claim penalties there when it blatantly isn't. Corner comes in from Cook straight down the throat of the keeper. No, not good enough, unfortunately, on that one. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Brooks will get his chances to start games, but I mean, Tavernier has more of an engine on him than I think than Brooks does, and I think defensively Brooks will work and he does the job, but I do think Tavernier is just more likely to be able to do that job for you. I don't know. It's just my opinion on that one. Oh, if you're talking about down the middle, or rather, Philip, you're talking about down the middle. I'm happy with Christie. I think Christie does that. Just works so hard and can play for 90 minutes. Obviously, he's come off today, but Christie can easily play for 90 minutes and do the pressing job that we want him to do with no breaks. Oh, come on, ref. And Brooks is possibly going to get a yellow card for kicking the ball away. No. Yeah. One more substitution from Brighton. I think it's Veltman coming off for Lamptey. Brooks seems to be having a conversation with the fourth official. I don't know why. Oh no, it's Adingra. Sorry, Adingra has come off for Lamptey. Well, Brooks hasn't really played too much centrally when he's been playing for us so far. Generally starts on that right and then comes in. He's not starting central, which Christie does. Um, and as in this current game, you've got Traore is playing in the middle and Brooks is playing as the right mid. But he will shift naturally inside, which is what you want. The only thing you need is to make sure that Aaron bombs on into the space that Brooks leaves to make things awkward and cause Mitoma to have to go the other way, which he hasn't had to do at all this match. Uh, um, just taking to 88 minutes. So 2 minutes with any added on time. I can't imagine that we'll see another goal at the moment after what's been happening. But if anyone's going to do it, it's probably going to be Brighton. Speaking of which, Brighton are pushing forward on the counter after Bournemouth's press was broken. Aaron's going up against Mitoma and initially doing well, but then losing out. And David Brooks will get a yellow card, a very good yellow card. Mitoma is prevented from getting into the box. Aarons does well here and then manages to. I don't know what Aarons has done there. He kind of wins the ball and then manages to kick it against himself and give it back to Mitoma, unless Mitoma's foot is just whipped round and I don't know. Hello, Jordan, joining us from Australia, just like David. Yeah, 11 p.m. start for you guys. Obviously, 1 a.m. now. Set piece came of nothing. And Bournemouth win the throw in. There will be 6 minutes of added time. And Bournemouth again just struggling to maintain possession. Long ball from Verbruggen up, and Aaron's lets it go out for a goal kick. Nice footwork there from Aaron's. But yeah, another 3 goals from Brighton. That's poor from Dango. As I mentioned at the start, before the game started, every game that Brighton has won so far this season, they've scored at least 3 goals in it, and they've done it again. Sorry, I've not been as vocal in the second half. To be fair, there's not been a lot of comments coming in either. I have a feeling that most of the Bournemouth fans have just been like me, just watching in some level of despair. Traore with the shot gets blocked. Almost wins the ball back again. We've got someone down holding his head. Aarons? Aarons. It's not been a very good watch in the second half. I don't really have many memories of the second half, to be honest, because all I remember is Brighton passing the ball around with Bournemouth not really doing much, not really having much chance to do anything. They're just replaying Mitoma's first goal, and I did at the time just wonder whether Kirkes might end up being given as an own goal for that one. I hope not. I don't want him to get 2 own goals. That would be ridiculous. Brooks has just smashed the ball past Aarons. It goes out for a corner. I really hope Mitoma gets both of those goals because he's in my fantasy team. Definitely don't want him to have that taken away from him and then end up with an assist instead. Wouldn't be the worst, but um, yeah, just overall, first half was great. Second half, Brighton just turned on the style completely. Made us we were very much. João Pedro still in the penalty box. Great work from Senesi, and then he just runs into the back of him. Nah. Um, yeah, we certainly were part of the reason why, but I do think it was partly in Brighton's setup. We made Brighton look pretty average in the first half. Our setup was great. Our work rate was great. We got the goal, and then the second half they made the 2 changes, switched up the formation, and have just battered us. They just absolutely battered us in the second half. No real. There's not much more to say about it. They've just torn us a new one in the second half. Thankfully, it's only 3. As things stand, fingers crossed. Please, Brian, don't score another one. But yeah, not been great. Not been great in the second half at all. Not for lack of effort, but for a lack of ability to execute the game plan. And maybe a little bit lack of skill. Got to do look at you. I mean, to be fair, the thing is that first I do feel is like Kirkes is unfortunate with that own goal, but the keeper needs to do better. The keeper needs to be more assertive or be communicate better. But regardless of whether that first goal goes in, the second goal still happens. That first Mitoma goal. Brooks pushing into the box now with Dango shoots is blocked. So Messi is trying to take down. Senesi was trying to take down João Pedro. Doesn't touch him, but Pedro goes down and Senesi gets a yellow card. Literally doesn't touch him, but the intent is there. Alan, hope he gets Alan fit. The midfield has tied in the second half. Yeah, it has. Although you still have Rothwell that could have played. But I think it's more so the formation, so much as just we would need to change the things. We would need to change more than just personnel. I feel full time, by the way. Unfortunately, that is the second time we have gone 1-0 up in an away game and lost 3-1. Sorry, Sammy. It's not happening for you at the moment. John, if Everton can pick up 3 points, surely we will soon. Oh, I'm sure we will some point soon. Absolutely. But yeah. Good news is we play Arsenal next. Yay! Arsenal at home. Look, to be fair, before the season started, when that fixture list came out, I had a feeling we wouldn't get a win before the Arsenal game. I was fairly confident we wouldn't get a win before the Arsenal game. It was about how many points can we get from draws. And we've picked up 3 already, which I think is actually not a bad showing, considering if you look at how did we do in those fixtures last season, we lost all of them. So we've made a positive turnaround in that one. But it's after those games. Once we've played Arsenal, we have Burnley, Wolves, and Everton in a row. It has to be 7 points as a minimum from those. Really should be going for 9, but 7 points at a minimum from those. When we finally hit the games that we have a really good chance of winning, we have to get those points. We have to make it count. Yeah. It has at times in the second half. It's that, yeah. Somewhat. Yeah, a bit. The problem is we don't have anyone. We don't have a goalkeeper on the books that's like really good on the ball, which is the big issue from Neto today. Has been his distribution, and obviously, we don't know whether he shouted at Kirkes. We don't know whether, in the end, I think he probably should have just stayed on his line. But he's part of the reason why the first goal goes in. No blame for him on the second or third. Was it? I feel as though it was a wag of the finger to say I didn't touch him. Because I don't think he did, but the intent was there. Arsenal will be easy, they can't even beat Spurs. Neither can we, Ben. So I wouldn't... And we played Spurs at home too. So we got Arsenal at home next, obviously. Right. Full time. We'll do a quick review. To be honest, there's really not much to go through. It wasn't great. And I really can't remember anything that happened in that second half already, because it was just a case of watching the ball go from blue shirt to blue shirt to blue shirt for basically a whole half, with the odd Bournemouth chance, but there wasn't much of it. There are frustrations, but in the end, yeah, it's just going to be one of those games sometimes. It wasn't great. We'll move on. Quick review after I come back, and then we can all get on with the rest of our day. Right. See you later. Or see you in a couple minutes. Stick around. Hello, welcome back. Right, let me just check the comments here. Didn't necessarily, even if he did, I doubt Kicks would have heard him. Pure adrenaline, that lad, but I didn't berate him. So, like, yeah, well, there's the two things. It's either he needs to communicate better, really give a good shout that it's the keepers, and it kind of looked like Kirkes did try and duck out of it at one point, but maybe not. I'm not sure. Or he needs to just stay on his line. He either needs to dominate or stay. If he stays, he saves that. If he dominates and comes out and gives it a good punch and gets above Kirkes, then it's not an issue. He sat in between, and that's why that one went in. Unfortunately not, Donald. Only one player can handle the ball. And it's not rush goalies. You can't just it's not monkey rush. You can't just have one of the two be the one that handles the ball. Right. Oh dear. Okay, review. Let's bring up the Sofa Score stats. See if there's anything interesting that can pop up from that. Let me just get that up now. So, I mean, there, just that momentum bar, you can just see the difference there. It's so even for the most part in the first half. There's barely any peaks or troughs. Just relatively flat, very even game. And then the second half is just bam. They just go out, get that goal immediately, and then periods where they just are all over us for plenty of the match. Then it becomes a bit more even. Bournemouth do have chances, but they rarely... It just never really looked like it was going to happen for us. It really didn't in that second half. For me, anyway, personally. Let's have a look at expected goals. Did end up landing, obviously, in Brighton's favour. We actually got over one expected goal. Although that's going to be mostly from Solanke's... Oh, it's only 0.24, so it wasn't massive. So yeah, decently high expected goal. I mean, it's not. They didn't blow us away in terms of expected goals. And certainly in the first half, it was, as it shows there, very even. And Bournemouth definitely had the better chances in the first half. Second half, it was all. It was mostly all Brighton. But then with that Solanke header that was right close that got cleared off the line, with the Brooks shot that ended up getting cleared by Estupinian, Bournemouth still had their chances even in the second half. It just was at the point where you just knew it was just going to be one of those days. It just wasn't going to fall for us. Shots is relatively even, which actually surprises me. 4 shots on target each, 4 corner kicks each, 3 big chances each, but we missed 2, they missed 1. Well, a lot better at dribbling today, which is good to see. There's a lot of this that is quite even. Obviously, passes ignore because Brighton are always going to dominate possession. But the long balls is a little bit worrying there. Tried 49, only successful with 11. That's bad. That's really bad. That is a worrying statistic right there. That long balls. That's frustratingly poor. Obviously, as things stand, we are still in 17th. Sheffield United play in 20 minutes. And if they're able to beat Newcastle, as unlikely as that is, if they are able to beat Newcastle, then they would go above us and drop us into the relegation zone. But, I mean, as Neil mentioned earlier, we've had a really tough start. And I do think that there's a lot more to come from us. And obviously we play Everton and Wolves and Burnley within the next 3 matches after Arsenal, as I've mentioned before. Yeah. Do I still have tactics pulled up? Yes, I do. I don't think I was focusing enough necessarily to really be able to tell you exactly what fell apart quite so much in the second half. because what was going well in the first half was going really well. And I mentioned it earlier in the stream at halftime, but I'll just point out again. The situation that happened a lot in the first half was Verbruggen would end up on the ball and basically could stride out almost as far as he wanted, whether it be from a goal kick or from just open play, or from generally open play. This is the situation that would very frequently end up. You'd have everyone following their men, no matter where that was. Kerkez often found himself at times found himself at centre back marking Buonanotte, and the Brighton fullbacks were miles up the pitch. But everyone followed their man. Zabani did a really good job at following Ferguson. You'll notice Ferguson was subbed at halftime. Zabani did a job on Ferguson, a player that is being raved about. Zabani did a job on him, and he did a really good job on him. Ferguson was taken off at halftime because of how good Zabani was doing at dominating Ferguson. And then you had this situation where you had Cook and Kelly were the third and fourth pressers, and you had Christie and Solanke sticking to their centre-backs. And the important point here is that what Bournemouth want to do is that at the very worst, if there is an easy pass on, it goes to Webster at right centre-back, because he is the least technically capable player on the pitch for Brighton. And that's not much of an insult. They're all really good on the ball. But you don't want it to be with Lewis Dunk. You want it to end up with Webster. So Christie, who is marking Webster, is always in a position where he's sort of like in between the two. He wants to keep an eye on Webster, but he also really wants to try and win this ball. And he keeps coming forward and backing off and backing off and coming forward and backing off. And every time, this happens 12 times, almost like a dozen times in the first half. And eventually, and what happened a lot was he'd fire the ball forward and Ferguson would drop deep, receive the ball, Zabani would batter him and make sure that the ball bounced to one of the midfielders. Or he kept hold of the ball. There was only twice that Ferguson actually kept hold of the ball from those sort of mid-range passes that Verbruggen played. But eventually, Verbruggen's looking up. He wants to play this pass. He's looking for an option. He wants to play something. He looks for it, and Christie nicks in. Solanke scores. The plan was working perfectly. The plan was working to absolute perfection. And Brighton just seemed to have one plan that they kept sticking to, and eventually it cost them. I feel that part of the issue for Brighton was the lack of impact of the wingers. Was part of the issue. So you had Adingra doing a decent job on the right-hand side, sort of occupying Kerkez, having a decent one-on-one battle. Sorry, it was Buonanotte. Buonanotte on the right-hand side wasn't doing a lot really to Kerkez, wasn't really making much happen. Was marked out the game for a lot of it. Had his moments, but not doing a lot. And then you had Adingra on the left-hand side, who also had his moments a little bit more, but again, was doing really well with errands. Basically, the one-on-one battles all over the pitch were really working for Bournemouth. Bournemouth were really winning these one-on-one battles all over the pitch. And so I feel as though De Zerbi basically tried to stop that from happening so much. He took Ferguson off, and he took Buonanotte off. Let's just throw these over and just bring another set of players in. And now you've got Welbeck in the middle, not really sticking to any of the centre-backs. And then you've got what did we have? There was Ansu Fati. Adingra went to the right-hand side. You had Mitoma coming. Adingra went to the right-hand side. You had Mitoma on the left-hand side going up against Aarons. And Ansu Fati was given this free role. And suddenly, your centre backs can't really mark any of these one for one. The one-on-one battles can't really happen anymore, and basically they just went so much more fluid. I feel like Dahoud. I feel like Dahoud came a lot higher up the pitch. He obviously was heavily involved in their first goal, and I also feel as though the Bournemouth mentality dropped immediately after Mitoma's goal. After the first goal from Mitoma, and we just sat back a lot more. It was a lot more. It was more difficult to press because now it's tougher. Admittedly, this was still kind of happening, but because Fati could go anywhere he liked, suddenly he provides a different threat. I think we were just a little bit more hesitant to go quite the same man for man. It's difficult to know because obviously when you're looking at the screen, it's not you can't see that high up the pitch. You can't see what's happening there. But then just when ball is in play, Brighton are just passing it forward quicker. The ball's just getting higher up the pitch faster. The movement is so much more fluid. You don't have the two strikers in the middle of the pitch. So now, when you have Fati that's able to just take up any position he wants, and Welbeck is making sure that the centre backs stay honest, we now have the 3-on-2 that we just don't want to have to deal with in the middle of the park, and Brighton can just pop the ball about as much as they like. This is always going to be an issue for Bournemouth, particularly when Christie wants to play as more of a second striker and be high at the pitch. He's got so much work to do to be able to try and come back and make sure that we are actually somewhat going and trying to battle evenly in the middle of the park. I don't know. I don't really have too much more to say, to be honest, about how we played in that second half. It's incredibly difficult to really sort of analyze that at all because that half was just a blur to me. It really was. I didn't enjoy watching that second half at all. As soon as the first goal went in, when I barely got myself together after talking about how we played well in the first half, their second goal goes in, and then it's all just it just feels like such a slog from that moment onwards. It really, really did, and it was a struggle. Oh dear. Right, let's just before I let you all go, let's just have a look at a couple of comments, and then we'll just have a look at what the other results were. Thank you for joining us, Neil. Disappointing but promising first half performance, absolutely. Lost the second half, so what changed when us? We weren't pressing, had no urgency, and let Brighton press around us all over the. I'm guessing you mean pitch. Yeah, we didn't have as much energy, I would say, in the second half as much, but I do just think that a lot of Brighton players just stopped just sticking to positions. They just weren't as static in the second half as they were in the first. There was so much more movement. Mitoma just was such a difficult one to deal with for Aarons because he just kept running off him, which Adingra just was not doing in the first half. Difficult to pick up players who can go anywhere. One reason I like us having so many can be 7, 10, 11, switch around between them. The sort of front three behind Solanke. Yeah, absolutely. But we don't, neither us nor Brighton really sort of, you don't see the left winger popping up on the right wing, or, occasionally they'll come central. But I think the central midfield just was a battle we completely lost in the second half. When we dominated it in the first half, we completely lost that central midfield battle in the second. We lost a lot of our battles in the second half. I don't have the tactical nous to really dissect what happened in that second half. I was just not really as focused on that game in the second half because I just wasn't enjoying seeing Bournemouth be just steamrolled for a large part of that second half. It wasn't pleasant to watch. I think it would be an interest. I think it would be an instance, that game, that if I had the ability to sit down and rewatch that second half, I would do it just to see what did Brighton do differently. Can I nail down the things that Brighton really did differently? Was it that simple that it was just Fati created that central midfield overload, and Mitoma was just so difficult to mark? Was it just that? But I do think Adingra played better on the right hand side against Kirkes. Kirkes had a much more difficult second half. there's a lot. You can't just change a match with one decision or two subs. There will be a lot that went into the fact that we didn't perform as well in that second half. And I would love the chance to just go through it again, but I can't. I don't know how to do that. I wish Bournemouth would put up their full matches on AFCB TV again. Can you start doing that, please, Bournemouth? Can you just put full matches up at some point? I'd imagine they barely had anyone ever watch them, which is probably why they stopped doing it. Right. Quick look now at the matches that have happened. In fact, I'll zoom in a little bit more so we can see just the ones that happened in the last recent. So, Chelsea Villa 0-1. Ollie Watkins with the only goal in that one. Who scored? Who got sent off? Malo Gusto. Oh, am I so glad I didn't put him on my fantasy team. But Watkins is in there, so that's great. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2. Christian Romero own goal, Bukayo Saka penalty, and Son Heung-min twice. That's a full-time score. So it was 1-1 at half-time, 2-2 at full-time. Interesting. Liverpool 3, West Ham 1. Mo Salah, Darwin Nunez, and Diogo Jota. Jared Bowen again with a goal. He's a very good one to pick out on fantasy football. Glad I have Salah in there. I hope Soboslai got an assist. And then lastly, obviously, Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1 with Milos Kerker's own goal. And at the moment, we've got Karen Matone with 2 and Solanke with Bournemouth in the first. I hope that first Mitoma goal isn't taken off and given to Kerkers. Right. Yes. Now much more to speak about. I think just last couple of comments. We lacked something. Brighton found whatever they were lacking in the first half as well. Brighton were irresistible at times in that second half, particularly the first goal. So like the second goal, straight kickoff. Do you want to notice this? No, I didn't. You sure it was Abani? I'd have to look back at that one. That seems odd to me. If that's, I doubt that. I didn't see that at all. Yeah, that might have been the plan. Clearly didn't work. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look that one on Match 32 tonight. Yeah, that'd be another one. Okay. Right. Just before we go, one final thank you again to all our monthly members. Anyone that makes any donations, whether it be single one-off payments or regular contributions on buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. Thank you very much for everyone that puts any amount of money in towards helping the channel and keeping these streams going, and helping us upgrade our tech at the opportunities that we get to do so. And that will be that for today. Another close to 3 hours of streaming. Disappointing result. Encouraging first half, but desperately disappointing second. It's another loss. It's more experience, more lessons to learn, and we have one other very difficult game at home to Arsenal next week before we can say that the extended pre-season is over. After Arsenal, no more excuses. That's when we need to start getting those results. And, we'll have to wait and see what happens with other games. Hopefully we won't be in the relegation zone by the time we go up against is it Everton that we play? Oh, we got Stoke. We've got Stoke this midweek as well, actually. Everton, there we go. Everton on Saturday the 7th. That's the start of our season. And I will be there, so there will be no watch-along for that one. Not sure I'm going to do a watch-along for the Arsenal game either. But I will be at the Everton game for those of you that do join me for that one. But we do play Stoke in the Cup coming up on Wednesday first. So that's an opportunity to get another win. Take a bit more confidence into the rest of the league games, and hopefully we'll be able to push on from there. Massive thank you to everyone that joined me. Please do hit the like button if you haven't already. If you enjoyed the stream, thank you very much for those of you that joined me, Dean, Ben, Neil, David, everyone from outside of England. And I hope you can join me on the next show and join us on the next Cherries in Focus show, which maybe we might be out on Monday. We might be putting it out on Thursday to include the Stoke game. We'll need to confirm that. But regardless, I do hope you stick around. Please subscribe if you haven't already so that you can keep in touch with all our content when it comes out. Hit the like button if you want the notification. And I hope to see you all on the next watch along, if not on the next Cherries Red Army Cherries in Focus show. But I do hope you have a pleasant rest of your weekend. And I will see you in the next one. Up the Cherries.